All right, back at it again, y'all. Tragic Podcast, episode number 10. We apologize for the hiatus for all the people that were out there paying attention. We had 117 subscribers just waiting on the edge of their seats, right, P? They were waiting. The motherfuckers were waiting for the next episode, but wait no further. And today, actually, before I even move on to that, I want to remind y'all to subscribe so we can get 118 or 119 by the time that this episode is done.
Press that little red button.
Press that little red button like my special guest today has informed you to do so. With that being said, I want to introduce my guest today, Juan Oseguerra, a.k.a. Niño. You didn't think I was going to use your government name?
Nah, you came out left field with the government name.
I had to hit him with the government name. I had to do my research too, bro, because it's like, when we first met, you introduced yourself as Niño.
Yeah.
And then I've always known you as Niño.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
No questions asked, Niño. But then I was like, man, let me really dig deep, so he can see that I'm serious about my shit,
I'm
man.
surprised you even found that, because usually
bro.
It's only Nino Oseguerra everywhere I go.
Sometimes I get scared to use people's government names because I don't want them to think I'm working with the feds or something
like hold on, blood, do I got a warrant? Somebody gonna get me right now?
So Niño, bro, welcome to the show, bro. I appreciate you coming through, man.
Right on, blood. I appreciate you, blood. Real talk.
We just seen each other on Saturday at the homie Hyro's his girl's birthday party, but his record release party.
Yeah.
And we linked up there. We talked there, and we were talking about the podcast. And you told me about Omino Day, which is coming up very soon, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I immediately thought, well, man, this would be a perfect opportunity for Niño to come through and chop it up with me.
Yeah, man, I'm a fan of your Tragic Podcast. Like I said, I watched Hyros and Big Hen and Burns one and Chris Riggins.
Yeah.
So it was dope, man. You know what I'm saying?
You saw some good ones.
I saw some really good ones, but they were funny too. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, it would be dope to get on there. But of course, I wasn't gonna ask, and then we seen each other, and it happened.
That's the one weird thing about like podcasting that I realized like in the last couple of years is that you never want to ask to be on it. You want to be asked to be on it. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes I break the rules, man. Like if I see a good ass podcast and I'm trying to get into their line of vision and they still don't pick me, I'll send them a message. I'll be like, hey, bro, if you ever need a pinch hitter, man, you let me know. I'll fucking come through.
Anytime y'all can't find nobody, holla at me.
For sure, man. But you're here today, bro. And again, man, I appreciate your time. But for those of you guys out there, Niño, let the world know who you are. Introduce yourself to everybody who's watching and listening to the show.
My name is Nino Oseguerra, man. I'm from born and raised in Daly City in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Been in the Bay Area all my life. And also, I'm a community organizer. You know what I mean? I helped organize some of the walkouts back in 1993. You know what I mean? 94 back then.
What walkouts specifically are you talking about?
It was the walkouts that happened in the West Bay from San Mateo all the way to San Francisco and everything in between.
Okay.
We walked out all the students out there, you know what I mean, just for more Latin studies, student rights, you know what I mean, a little bit more representation for our people.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, man. We got laced up by my mentor Gabriel and other individuals, some SF State students, you know what I mean, that were working their knowledge too, and they inspired a little fire in us, and we ended up organizing these walkouts that now have been like legendary, and I'm been proud to be part of that for sure.
Have you always felt like because every time we talk, I always get this vibe like that you have a lot of pride in yourself and your people and stuff like that. When we first met, we talked a lot about Mexico, and I see the nopal on your arm in the form of a tattoo. So. And I see the nopal on your frente too, man. Like I said,
nopal en la pinche frente.
En la pinche frente, bro.
Straight Mexican shit.
Yeah, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, make sure to Google translate that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious though, man. I've always kind of got that vibe that you're like proud of your heritage and your gente. Is that something that you've always like carried with you throughout your youth and?
Yeah, I think it's just been installed in me with my family. My dad's side of the family, a real indigenous native, you know what I mean, from the cerros and shit. And then my mom's. They were pretty indigenous, but they were in the farm fields. You know what I mean? And my family, got an opportunity to come here as braceros, right? If it wasn't for the bracero program, and then my grandfather bringing his wife, my grandmother over here, and then trying to have an anchor baby. Once the one kid that was born,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to come. So my mom's the oldest out of 15 kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not the oldest. She's the third oldest out of 15 kids. You know what I mean?
That's incredible, man.
So we come from a big, big family. So just being proud, and we were in the hood. We grew up in the hood, and we were like the most Paisa's family there. You know what I mean? Everybody was like 3-4 generations already. There were Chicanos, but we were Mexican as hell. You know what I mean?
Well, explain to people what the difference is between Chicanos and Mexican as hell and Paisa. Because, you know, we throw those terms around a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my parents, I'm first generation as well. Like my dad is from Jalisco. My mom is from Sonora. And I've always noticed that there was a slight difference and sometimes a big difference between those of us that are first generation born here and our parents are from Mexico and others that look like us, sound like us, talk like us, but their generations go 2 or 3 generations back.
Yeah.
Explain how you view the difference between those two.
Well, you know, Chicanos to me is more I can speak just for a Californian, right?
Right.
Because I consider myself a Californian. You
right.
know what I mean?
Because we all know there's a difference between Mexicans here and Mexicans in Texas, for example.
Yeah. Well, way different, right?
Yeah.
Especially Chicago, even way different.
Oh, really? Chicago?
Yeah. Bro, Chicago has enough Mexicans, has Mexicans like California.
Get out of here.
Which tripped me out, bro. Because I'm thinking I'm in the East Coast, but I'm in Chicago, which is north.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in the Bay Area, but I'm actually at a lake. You know what I mean? And then,
that ain't Lake Merritt. That's
a gang of
Great
Mexicans
Lake
out there, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so much that you start noticing, like, holy shit, I thought it was just Italians and blacks, right?
Right.
And
Irish
honestly,
that's what I would have thought.
You know what I mean? And Irish motherfuckers, right? And it's a large, population out there of Mexicans that is just like LA. So, and that's all connected, right, with braceros. My grandfather was a bracero as a farmer. Mm-hmm. But, other fools got, in other parts of the state, depending what part of Mexico they went, they got to be braceros as steel workers, factory workers, not just the farms. So It's kind of crazy, right? So I just feel like I'm extremely proud of my people, my family, because I came from I guess the lowest caste in a sense of the people. You know what I mean? And the way they struggle in the farms and everything, and knowing the history of it. And I guess at one part in my life, I grew up in Mexico like for 10 years.
Oh, from what age to what age?
Newborn to like 10.
Oh, okay. So, wow.
So me coming back here, I came like a real Mexican.
Yeah.
And I always thought, man, when I turn 18, I'm going to go back home. I'm going to go back to Mexico. I can't be here. You know
See, now that's a story you don't hear all the time because you were born here.
Yeah, because I was born here, but I was raised over there. You know what I mean? So I had a more Mexican mentality. So I felt like I had no history here.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was more of a paisa. I was more, thinking back home and just thinking about how I grew up there.
Yeah.
Even though I was a city boy out there too.
Right.
But
what city was this?
Zapopan.
In Michoacan.
No, that's in Jalisco, right next to Guadalajara.
Okay, yeah. Because they have a tequila called Zapopan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that the same one from the...
Yeah, because you have to go through Zapopan to go towards Tequila. Because Tequila's a town, right?
Yeah.
Where they make
you're a fucking alcoholic when you know cities based off the liquor that's named after...
Exactly. And it makes sense because all over the world, right, like cognac is called cognac because it was made in a town called...
Champagne,
cognac,
also.
Champagne, made in a town called Champagne, right?
Zapopan out there living large, man. Up there with the fucking cognacs and the brandies of the world and shit.
With the tequilas, man. You know what I'm saying? The real.
So you spent the first 10 years of your life in Mexico. You come here. It's kind of like maybe not a culture shock, but definitely like a culture awakening.
Yeah.
But then tell me where you landed, where you moved to in California, and tell me what your life was like there once you came.
Well, everybody came to. Once somebody was born in my one of my mom's brothers was born in L.A. They, for whatever reason, came to the Bay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then so that's how we were all born here in General. I'm a General Hospital baby, just like most of my cousins. Like 2 of my cousins were St. Luke's babies. We used to make fun of them, like y'all rich babies, because we came from General. But
right.
But once we were here, we stayed here, man. And we first landed in Oakdale, you know what I mean, in a black neighborhood, predominantly in the Bayview. And then this is the Bayview
in San Francisco, California.
Yeah, Bayview in San Francisco, California. So we ended up in Oakdale in the beginning. Then from there went to the Fillmore for a while. So I grew up in the Fillmore for a while. And then went back to the Bayview for a while. And then my grandparents went to South City. They went to Daly City. Then my uncles became, from the hood in Daly City.
Right.
From the east side. And then I just followed my uncle's steps and became an East Sider myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I traveled a lot, like going back and forth from Mexico to the city, and then I moved around a lot. So I never really had I never lived that American life where everybody went to the same high school, elementary, middle school, and high school. You know what I mean? I went to like 14 different schools before I went to high school. So
Wow.
you know what I mean? And that's including back home and here.
Yeah.
So, just home base was always my grandparents' house.
And your grandparents lived
In Daly City.
In
the east side.
Okay.
So then I just became, because all my family's from the hood there, and no matter where I moved, Christmas times, summer times, I would be there.
Yeah.
And, I just became a east sider, you know what I'm saying, Daly City cat. And it just lived and survived, in San Francisco, because my mother lived out in the Bayview most of her life.
Right.
So I would go back and forth, to each house.
And the Bayview is a notorious neighborhood for, in San Francisco. Notorious for a lot of like activity.
Yeah.
A lot of from what we see on the news and from what we know about people that live there, like violence and a lot of activity that'll make somebody keep their head on a swivel.
Yeah, the Bayview was a predominantly black neighborhood.
Right.
One of the second biggest compared to the Fillmore. Mm-hmm. And, when we first moved in there, we were kind of like the first Mexicans.
Right.
So, we had to deal with shit the newcomers come, right? Because America feasts on immigrants, right? And they've created a culture just like you see in The Godfather, you know what I mean? Or Gangs of New York, right? They created a culture where people just prey on the new immigrants.
Yeah.
Depending, don't matter who it is, just the newcomers, right?
Yeah.
Or the new members. So we were the first Mexicans in the Bayview, and the neighborhood preyed on us. So my uncles got robbed by black folks and all that, and all of us that grew up there, we just learned how to have a little tougher skin, and we grew up there, and we were able to. We had just had the courage, I guess, in a sense, to fight back instead of just getting robbed. Like, a lot of people that come here in a different country, bro, they just want to work, keep their head down, work, send money back home, work, send money back home.
Right.
They don't want no problems. They don't want no issues. You know what I mean? They come from areas where fighting is not a real big deal, and if it is, it's toe to toe. Like, they don't really jump and all that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
there's like an honor system to the fighting.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, like in Mexico, it's only going to come to between individuals. Death is really only an option if it's something like heinous, like if you did something heinous to somebody.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you want to squabble with somebody, it's got to be toe to toe.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be to the death. There's no honor in necessarily killing somebody unless they did something heinous to you.
Yeah. I mean, now it's changed in some cities a little bit more, but for the most part, Soto was right. It's all about honor.
Right.
Toe to toe. Don't need to take nobody's life. Let's
Right.
just handle it if we have an issue, whatever. So I guess, all of us that were kids that came from paisas or Mexicans, and we were still kind of paisa, eventually we ended up having the Chicano mentality.
Of course.
With the combination of the American, gangsterism. We're just having to fight for yourself.
Right.
So our generation became the ones that we're going to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're going to jump us 10, we're going to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I understand that's how it creates sometimes racial problems or whatnot. You know what I mean? We had those when we were young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like middle schools having, race fights, Mexicans against the blacks or whatever.
Well, I mean, I can imagine being like the only Mexican family in a black neighborhood. That's going to come with some issues from time to time.
Hell yeah.
At some point, you're going to have to
and it was the
face
crack
that.
era too. So
On top of that, shit.
You know what I mean? That
And
makes
crack
it
don't
a whole...
discriminate. Crack is for everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody's teeth falls out when you do crack.
You know what I'm saying?
It don't matter what race you are.
But that's real talk.
I'm glad you mentioned honor, that we touched on honor a little bit, because that's part of the reason why I asked you to come through. That's really what the show is about, because we try to honor on this show. We try to honor the people and the situations that built us and that created us. When we spoke on Saturday, this past Saturday, when we met up at that party, we were talking about Omino Day.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you guys that don't know what Omino Day is out there, why don't you let everybody know what Omino Day, what exactly is it?
So Omino Day is dedicated to Andrew Joseph Ely, which is a.k.a. DJ Domino. He was a young homie that I knew. He was kind of like a young brother. I used to be a mentor to him, and he ended up passing away with a shooting that happened. And then from there, I tried to create a scholarship under his name. It's become like a fund where I've helped different families or individuals that need the money.
Yeah.
His family needed the money at one time, so we were able to raise up money for his family. But we started a fund under his name, and we also started like a World Music Festival.
Right. And I had the honor of being the co-host of Domino Day or Omino Day. I'm sorry, Omino Day last year, and it was like at a music venue. But I understand that you guys do it usually it's an outdoor gig.
Yeah, before pandemic.
Before the pandemic, yeah.
We used to do it at Jerry Garcia Amphitheater in John McLaren Park in San Francisco.
Okay.
Which is in the Bayview area. You know what I mean? In the Bayview district. So I ended up doing it there because he grew up down the block from there in the Sunnydale area. And I grew up around there in a sense because my mother always lived around there.
Right.
When I decided to do the festival there, a lot of things came to happen. But the reason I decided a festival is because before he passed away, we thought about trying to throw some kind of festival type.
Right. So you guys were already talking about this idea of throwing a music festival.
Yeah, so me and Domino, he was a young man that I met through one of my homies that was running a program called commemorates for kids, where they teach young people politics and have them like try to basically write and hit up politicians about certain things that's troubling the youth.
Right. Issues. Get involved with the issues.
So when he came out of juvenile, he got into this program. And then my homie introduced him to him like he's a solid little homie. We're trying to put him up. And, you know, my folks laced him up throughout the years. And I laced him up throughout the years, you know, just was involved in his life. And he just went on the right road after he came out of the boys' camp.
Right.
So from there, he wanted to do DJing. And my boy, Sake One, which is legendary DJ in the Bay Area, he was doing a DJ program with the Underground Railroad in Oakland. Underground Railroad used to be a nonprofit organization. They used to do some dope ass shit. So they did a DJ program for the summer. DJ Domino and his homie Epic, I think both were in this program. And then he hit me up one time because you know I have been involved in music for quite a long time by that moment too. I used to do parties with some homies from the Bayview for a while. And then I got into music with Local Bloco, which is a nonprofit organization also. Now they're a program, but they used to be a nonprofit. But before it was just a bunch of people that decided to teach some inner city kids the drum and play Brazilian music.
Right.
So I got involved with them for a long time. And from there, I started doing fundraisers and throwing parties, throwing fundraisers. Became like a promoter for a while. Then it became a band manager with Hyro and them.
Right, the Bionics.
So that's how I met them through Local Bloco. I met Pete and Hyro and them through Local Bloco because they weren't Local Bloco.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to do their own thing and start Malafama.
Right,
which was like a salsa group because they wanted to do more
Yeah,
salsa.
and I remember Hyro, which is one of our past guests, always talks about Malafama.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way that name always comes up in conversation.
Yeah, so we were all like drummers in Local Bloco.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to do a little more than just Brazilian music, right?
Right.
They wanted to have a band and do salsa. So and then Malafama came out. And then from Malafama, Hyro's just, a mover and goer.
He's
right?
eclectic.
Yeah, so from there he wanted to do a funk band.
Yeah.
So from Malafama became a group called Natoma.
Yeah.
So because they used to be in the studio in Natoma. And then from Natoma became Bionics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've been involved with them with that. So, I used to promote for them and then used to band manage for them. And then from there I started throwing other parties,
Right.
Mission Rock and other places. So DJ Domino, when he started learning how to DJ and he started getting a little better, he was like, hey, what's up, man? I want you to put me on, bud. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting better, put me on. But he was young, right? He was
Right.
like still coming out of high school. So one time I had an opportunity at some club. For whatever reason, somebody called me. He was like, Blood, I could get you in this one club. And at one moment, that club was everybody was trying to get into. He was like, she just needs somebody to throw a party for her this Friday because the other promoter bailed out. Mm-hmm. And he told me, let's say on a Sunday, right? So I'm like,
You had like 5 days to
5
figure it out.
days to do a party. So I just called it the
Sign of
Rush.
a good promoter, man. You can knock that shit out.
So I called it the Rush. I just called the party the Rush.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I remember I hit up Hyro and them that were Malafama at that night. I'm like, you guys want to perform live? They were down. And then I got some DJs to perform. You know what I mean? They were down. And somehow Domino found out about it, hit me up like, hey, blood, can we get on?
Right.
I'm like, blood, you guys are underage. I'm like, if you get here at 7 p.m., when I get there early, I'll put you in. The security guard ain't there yet.
No problem.
But y'all got to stay at the DJ area.
Yeah.
And you both get a 30-minute set.
Yeah.
You guys gonna open up, right? An open up is like, nobody.
Hey, but you're in there though.
But they were down. I mean, they were
course.
youngsters, bro.
Of
You know what I
course,
mean?
yeah.
They were youngsters. They weren't still in high school. They were like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So they got on, and I peeped them out how they both DJ'd, and at the end, he was like, "Right on, blood, right on, for putting me on." And he was like, "What'd you think?" And I was surprised that he asked me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just told him the truth. I was like, "You need to work on your mixing, but your music selection is incredible."
Yeah.
He tripped me out. He was dope. And his homie, DJ Epic, he had great mixing, but his music selection needed to get better.
Okay.
So I was like, mixing, you need to get better.
Yeah.
Selection's great. Selection needs to get
It's
better.
the perfect pairing though,
But
so
the
they
mix
can
is
learn
great.
from each other.
Yeah, and they did. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And after a couple years, once they got out of high school and they were doing their thing, they started getting involved in the reggaeton shit. They got lucky. They became dope DJs. And they got lucky they were working with the right people. And they were the first ones that had reggaeton SF.
Okay.
Reggaeton SF was like the first anything about reggaeton before Nori came out with that one song.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they were just right ahead of that little song.
Right.
And then they became like the main promoters of all reggaeton shit in the beginning. You know what I mean? So he was involved. He's like, "Blood, you need to fuck with this reggaeton shit." And I knew some of that shit a little bit, but it wasn't called reggaeton at that moment. You know what I mean?
What was it called? What was it called at
There
the
was
time?
really no name for it, bro.
Yeah, because I don't remember reggaeton, that sound being
See,
described
the
any
thing
other
is,
way.
I know a lot of people, right? So I knew a homie that was Panamanian that would bring me music from Panama for years before reggaeton made it big. So I knew about reggaeton. It just wasn't a name for it.
Yeah.
It was just like some hip-hop Latin shit from Panama. He was like, "Hey, bro, mis panas son raperos." Like, boom. He would show me just hella shit. So I knew about it, the sound.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, coined reggaeton till later. So to me, it was just some Panamanian hip-hop.
Panamanian hip hop, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's a trip because like I remember when you say Panamanian hip hop, I'm thinking about back in the day. Like remember like El General,
General. Boom, boom, mami, mami,
boom,
mami.
boom, mami,
Yeah,
mami, no man.
exactly.
I still think about that shit to this day. Every now and then when I smoke a blunt, I'll be like, boom, boom, mami, mami, no me va a matar, man.
Yeah,
I was like,
real
I think
talk.
about those words. But I hear you talking about DJ Domino, and we're talking about how there's an event called Omino Day that's done in his honor. But I hear you talking about him like, as a mentor and as him as your little brother in a sense. I'm curious to know though, man, like what do you view, how do you view the role of a big brother to a little brother in this situation? Like for anybody out there that's trying to mentor somebody, what do you think their role is supposed to be?
I think your role is supposed to be just to, if they need help in just even a conversation, right?
Right.
Just give them a positive feedback on something. You know what I mean? He was a little brother to me, man, and he showed me a lot of respect, which I always honored. He was a very respectful individual. You talk to anybody that knew DJ Domino, he was always a respectful ass young cat. Mm-hmm. And I never felt like I was being a bigger brother. I just felt like I was being the big homie. Like, in the hood, you got some big homies that give you some righteous ass knowledge, right?
Right.
And you got some motherfuckers on some bullshit. But
Some bullshit.
some
because
bullshit.
but it's real though, man. I mean, talk about that because the truth is, man, that the older we get,
yeah,
the more crucial it is for us to make that decision as to which one we're gonna be. Are we gonna be the one that's gonna lace somebody up? Or are we gonna be the one that's gonna tie their shoestrings together?
yeah.
And it's like if we're gonna tie their shoestrings together, then obviously something fucked us up along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we're trying to be spiteful and kick down some negative shit to somebody,
Yep.
as opposed to somebody like yourself who you may have gone through trials and tribulations, but you still found a reason to be positive and to try to lace somebody up with some real game. You know?
I feel like I probably got that because I didn't really have a father. My mother always hella worked. You know what I mean? All her life, she was always a hard worker, like that old school hard worker. You know what I'm talking about? Like, they always want to work. You know what I mean? And I think they're going to die working because if they don't, they're not going to be able to feel useful in a sense, right?
That's
and I
it
respect
right there.
that,
Yeah.
but my mentality is not like that in a sense, right? But I still got that, right? So she was always working. You know, I felt like one of my young homies. He's only like 3 years younger, but he's one of my close homies. He one time was like, "Nigga, you and the homies raised me," and I was like, "Nah, bro." He was like, "Yeah, bro. I didn't have a father. I didn't have nobody. My mom was always working. Like, y'all raised me, but like everything I got is because of y'all." And I'm like, you know what? We probably all raised each other. Right. You know what I mean? So
is that how you feel? Do you feel like with some of the people from your lifetime, like a DJ Domino, like your homie that you're talking about right now, do you feel like as much as you may have gamed them up and helped them, find the way, do you feel like at the same time they helped you find the way while you were doing that for them?
Yeah, I think so, bro. I mean, like, just like if you go to them kung fu days, you know what I'm saying, with the grasshopper, right? Like, the master learns as much from the grasshopper than the grasshopper does from the master.
Right.
Right. And one thing I've learned just by getting raised up and having different men that had that took the time, right, just to lace me up real quick. And maybe God gave me a level head that I chose the smartest, you know what I'm saying, knowledges that were kicked down to me is the same thing, right? That's why I told my boys, like, you raised me. And DJ Domino was, he's like 10, 12 years younger than me.
Yeah.
But he taught me a lot. You know what I mean?
What kind of stuff did he teach you?
He just taught me just to have a family, bro. Because I have my family because of him.
Really?
Yeah, because my wife, I wouldn't have known her if he wouldn't have passed. Because she was in the Coleman Advocates program with him.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? So when he passed away, all those organizers, people that worked in the community, seen him as an organizer. So he was one of the first, in a sense, organizers in our community that got killed on some street shit. You know what I mean? And it wasn't meant for him, but he was one of them innocent bystanders in a tension situation that was going on in the hood.
What happened that led up to his death?
He was at this bus stop on 24th and Folsom. When he was at the bus stop, he was with his younger brother, and it's funny that he was there because his younger brother used to always kick it with his homies down the street and always wait on 24th and Folsom for his bus to get him to their house. And I used to tell him, "Hey, bro, your little brother shouldn't be kicking it there. Right now it's hella hot." There was the Army Street projects that used to exist. The new housing reopened, right? It wasn't no towers no more like they used to be. It became just housing.
Yeah.
So they had just moved in. There was some drama happening with that. And then homies around that area in the Mission District were funking. There was a lot of maybe individuals that came out of prison or just other situations that happened. So there was all this wars and tensions going on around that moment.
Yeah.
That it wasn't safe for a young man just to be waiting in the bus stop.
Right.
You know what I mean? In that area. It wasn't safe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it happens in the hood, bro.
Yeah.
There's, like I tell people, there's a lot of love in the hood, but there's also some things that ain't all love.
Right.
So I remember telling him his little brother shouldn't be kicking it there. I picked up his little brother a couple times, took him home. Like, "What you doing here, bud? Let me take you home." You know what I mean? And I was like, man, he could kick it somewhere else because in the spot they were at was well lit, but you go around the corner to one side, all darkness. The other side, all darkness.
Yeah.
Up the street, all darkness. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's like a spotlight.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have been wrong.
Almost like a trap.
Yeah, I wish I would have been wrong. You know what I mean? And the day he got killed, he had called me because I used to have a restaurant. And he was like, "What's up, bud? When you done closing up?" I'm like, about hour and a half. All right, man, I'm going to go kick it with the little bro and his homies. And the homies and go smoke a couple, hit me up. I was like, "Yeah, I'll hit you up when I'm done." And I guess he did what his younger brother always did. And then from there, they waited in the bus stop. I told them they shouldn't be waiting at. But I felt he's an older brother, right? So he was like, he's safe with me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The younger brother's always going to feel like, I'm with big bro.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah. So, and then, some individuals were trying to get some other individual, and they just lit up the whole corner. And he got a straight bullet.
So Domino and his brother they were just innocent bystanders at that moment.
Yeah.
And they
waiting for the bus.
Yeah. They fell victim to some other shit going on around them.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he caught one in the dome, and his little brother caught one in the chest, or maybe caught more than one.
Did they both pass?
No, the little brother survived. He lived.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to talk to his little brother about what happened or what he remembered?
You know, I come from a background where I've, dealt with, I guess, violence before. You don't really ask motherfuckers. You know what I mean? If they want to tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've had conversations. I've never asked him anything, just whatever he wants to tell me. But, it was DJ Domino was a middle brother. He had an older brother and his younger brother. He was one of the main bread earners in the family. You know what I mean? And, he passed, man. And it's crazy how it happened because I had a homie that lived down the street from where it happened. So when he called me, he was like, Blood. So we used to have nicknames for each other and shit.
Right.
So he called me, like, Blood, I think Fatty Girl's brother just got hit up with his homie. I'm like, what? He was like, I see his brother. They're tending to him right now, but his homie, it looked like, shit's coming out of his brain. Man. I can't really tell because they had blocked everything off. Yeah. But he thought it was the little brother's best friend.
Oh, he didn't realize it was his big brother.
Yeah, he didn't realize it was Domino. So he was like, Blood, you need to call him, Blood. Let him know that his little brother just got hit and his homie's not doing well. So I'm trying to hit up the homie, and I'm almost finished cleaning the restaurant. So I'm hitting up Domino, like hitting him up, and he ain't answering.
Yeah.
So I drive to his parents' house. And his parents, they OG, so they sleep early.
Yeah.
When I showed up to the house, all the lights were on in the house, but nobody was home. And I was like, oh, it's bad.
Right. You could already sense.
So I mashed on to General Hospital, and when I was just walking up to the emergency, his pops came out and was like, Domino's down.
Yeah.
He was like, Drew's down. Dre is going to live. And I was like, what the fuck? And when I was walking up, I seen the little brother's best friend there.
Yeah.
So before his dad came out, for a split second, I seen him. I was like, then who the? And then his pops came out. And,
yeah.
It's
always, it never ceases to amaze me how when you find out that somebody that you care about is gone.
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me how it feels like the entire world stops for a moment, at least, while you process the news that you're being given.
Yeah.
Is that the way that you remembered, or how do you remember that moment?
Slow-mo, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything just slow-mo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I see the homie, oh, he's alive. Boom, he didn't make it. Like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
And, we got together, all those organizers got together the next day just to remember him. You know what I mean? And that's where I met my wife for the first time. We all, she was my wife then.
Right.
But we all said our word and what we remember about him. And then me and her just talked a little bit. No big deal.
Yeah.
Right? And then from there, I had a lot of homies or just a lot of youth that I worked with that had passed away before Domino. And then one death I remember before him was my boy. When he passed away, I remember hell organizers were talking because he had 3 kids and he got run over. And I remember a lot of people were talking, we should start a scholarship under his name, boom, 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 this and that, we should start that. People in the moment, they be passionate.
Right.
But in time, some people forget.
That's true.
Right. And I've learned now you can't get mad at those people. Right? Because you got to survive your own self, especially in times like this, right? And you just get caught up. But I remember nobody did nothing for my homie. And then when DJ Domino passed away, some of the same people were saying the same things.
Yeah.
But people were more shocked because he was considered an organizer. And people considered him an organizer because when he became a DJ, bro, he knew when to charge and when not to, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you hit him up on some community shit, hey, DJ Domino, can you perform this day with him? All he will ask you, is there a budget? And you'll be like, bro, we don't got a budget, it's for the kids.
Right.
I'll be there.
It's all good. Yeah.
If there's a budget, what's the budget?
Of course, yeah.
I work with it. I'll be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what was great about him. So a lot of community organizers considered him, and because some of them seen him grow, they considered him part of the community.
It's impressive because at such a young age, he already had that notion of like, you know what? There's a time to charge, and there's a time to do it for the right reason.
Yeah, and mind you, he died at 22, about to be 23.
Right.
So he was a young dude.
Of
you know
course.
what I mean?
And most of the time, people are trying to, you know, when you're around that age, I mean, you focused on trying to get it.
Yeah.
At all times, man.
Trying to get it.
I'm really glad you talked about that, bro, because, you know, I really feel like there's those moments where, you know, it's tough to be candid and it's tough to be open about how you remember it, but it's important. It's important to talk about that shit because there's a lot of lessons within those moments, man. And then also there's great things that come out of it. I mean, I love the fact that, you know, you met your wife through that. Of course, in a tragic sense, it was a beautiful occurrence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's a good chance you may have not even crossed paths.
So the reason I say, you know, I wouldn't have my family without him, because I remember, you know, so we started doing, when he was alive, we were doing hella parties together.
Yeah.
Successful ones, you know, calling them Belina. It's funny because he didn't really know how to speak Spanish.
Right.
Oh, even before all that. Let me just tell you what he was. He was a straight mutt. You know what I mean? So he was a Samoan, Irish, Mexican, Puerto Rican motherfucker. Right?
He covered the whole globe. He covered the whole globe.
So when I first met him, he was a straight little Samoan cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Straight little Samoan cat, kind of like a Crip in a sense, because at that time, that's what the Samoans were doing in Sunnydale.
Yeah.
And he was just straight Samoan cat. But then when he got into his DJ thing, you know what I mean? He tapped in more in his Latin side, and especially the Puerto Rican side when the reggaeton shit came out.
Right.
He was, because before the reggaeton came out, he was a straight reggae hip-hop cat. You know what I mean? And then when the reggaeton came out, it was like he's tapping into another part of him, right?
Yeah.
So he was so into like reggaeton, bro. I mean, he was thinking about branding before branding was a thing. But he didn't call it branding back then. But when he was trying to explain it to me, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. But he was really talking about branding. You know what I mean? Which is a trip.
He just didn't realize that he was talking about it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So he became a super like reggaeton cat, and he was trying to tap in more on his Latin side.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that many words, bro. He only knew like 5 words. Dale, toma,
Right?
pan dulce,
Damn.
¿Qué ondas, güey?
Uh-huh.
And what was the other one?
I mean, those are 4 big ones,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
those are 4 big ones. But pan dulce, he would use it randomly, bro.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time I picked up a homie, bro, that was going through it.
Yeah.
You know, he was having issues. He was just going through it.
Yeah.
And he was in a bad mood, and I picked him up. I'm like, bro, we're about to go see. So I used to call him Fatty Girl because he was a fat boy, right?
Yeah.
He used to call me Mr. Lunchbox because I had the taqueria.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I picked up the homie that was, you know, having a bad day. Picked him up, and I'm like, bud, we're about to meet up with Domino, let's have a session. So I pulled up on Domino. I get out the car, and this fool don't want to get out the car.
Yeah.
So I'm crossing the street. He was like, blood, what's up with the homie? And I'm like, bro, he's having a bad day right now, bro. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
He was like, what? He said, blood, let's smoke one. And that fool was just like, nah, right? Just say no. He didn't even say nothing.
Yeah.
And he was like, pan dulce. And then, blood, that nigga just started laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just like, what the fuck? That shit's random, right? I'm laughing my ass off. And the homie comes out, smokes a blunt.
There we go.
It didn't feel him all the way better, but
Yeah.
he felt better. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's not about
But he made him
the
laugh.
words, it's about the sentiment.
Yeah.
There was
you
a
know?
message behind that pan dulce. Bruh, that's beautiful, man. That's I love to hear the positive memories about something.
We
like
had a
that,
lot of funny moments. Like say, humor was part of our life. Like we were talking earlier, and so me and him used to have powwows, bro. Like we were throwing all these parties, and we used to have powwows. We were talking every day, bro. Like this fool had ideas just of doing a whole bunch of shit. And it's funny because when he caught me, bro, I was almost like, I don't want to promote no more. I'm done.
Yeah.
And he just sparked it up again. Like, come on, blood, me and you. Come on, OG, man. You showed me love. You the first nigga to put me on. You come on, we got to do something together. So then he got me back in the roll of things, right? So we used to powwow, bro. I used to always drop him off. We used to powwow in front of his house. Yeah. Meaning, smoke a couple fat ones.
Yeah, for sure.
So I remember one day, his parents always been together. My parents been divorced since I was 7, bro. You know what I mean? So one day he was talking about this girl, this and that, and he was like, yeah, I think she's a one, blood. I really love her, blood. Like, I'm loving her. Woo, woo. And he was like, blood, you know what you need, blood? You need to find a good wife, blood, make a family, be happy, blood. You'll be a good father. And I'm like, nah, bro. I'm like, you hella young, blood. Thinking about, getting married and getting together, my bro. You need to find me. He was like, blood, you need to find Miss Right. And I was like, nah, bro. You need to find Miss Right now. Right. Just get your, get your dick wet, have fun, you know what I mean? You're hella young,
you're
blood.
a youngster, baby.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And
Can't even rent a car yet.
Nah, blood, we both need to find some good women, blood, and just have some babies. So it was something that he always wanted and always talked about once in a while. You know what I mean?
The truth is, dog, that there are some people that have an old soul or like old soul characteristics. You know what I'm saying? That pop out every now and then. And it's interesting when we get a chance to look back on them and we can say to ourselves like, damn, man, like this motherfucker was talking about grown man shit at a time when he wasn't even supposed to be thinking about it.
When I was his age, 21, 22.
Come on.
Hell
debauchery.
Nah. I would not be giving nobody no advice. Get married, my nigga.
Bro, if I was 22 years old and my homie got married, guess what, bro? We ain't friends no more. Friendship over, man.
I'm not inviting you to Vegas, but you staying home.
Bro, so fast forward 2022. Tell us how many Omino days there have been, and also tell us when is the next one.
So Omino Day this year is going to be the 15th year of Omino Day. And 15th year, bro. You know
That's
what I mean? Except for the last 2 years, we've always had it at the park.
Right.
You know what I mean? The last 2 years, the first year of the pandemic, we had it in a studio I found in Hayward, a warehouse I found in Hayward, and we just set it up. And we got fortunate enough, we had Zion that performed that day.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, you know what I mean, to my brother. But that was the first year of the pandemic. And then the second year of the pandemic, they still wouldn't allow us to do it at the park, so we did it at Longboards in Pacifica. That's when I asked you to.
That's when I was fortunate enough to co-host it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
And it was dope, man. You know what I mean? I know you had a gig, but...
Bro, I got to tell you something, man. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but that day, I always remember that day because my little cousin right there, Oscar, R.I.P., my little cousin right there, man. The day that I went to go co-host that, I had to leave early because I had a comedy show. But Omino Day is deeply attached to my cousin Oscar in my mind because that night, after I left Omino Day and I went to go perform, that night he died in a car accident. Shit. So that whole 24-hour span is very imprinted in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I look forward to the all the dates and all the things that are related to his death, but to my little cousin Oscar's death. But it's just Omino Day always has it will always have a spot in my mind, not only because I got a chance and I had the honor to co-host it, but because that was tied into it as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. And no, not to sound grim or anything, but there's something about somebody that you care about passing that obviously with the fact that you even have Omino Day happening, it really has an impact on you. And it makes you hold on to memories, and it makes you hold on to certain events around those memories, So those two will always be linked in my mind.
There's always some kind of attachment that you feel like you want to hold on to, because like you said.
They're attached. That whole day, that 24-hour span is connected forever.
Yeah, real talk.
In my mind, man. So when is the next Omino Day? Just for everybody who's out there
Omino
listening?
Day is going to be Saturday, June 11th.
June 11th.
John McLaren Park between 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Absolutely, man. That's a beautiful thing. You guys remember that? June 11th, John McLaren Park in San Francisco.
Jerry Garcia Amphitheater.
Jerry Garcia Amphitheater. That will be the 16th?
15th.
The 15th annual Omino Day. Not even a pandemic could stop Omino Day, which I really appreciate that.
I feel like now, even though I might be the founder or whatnot, but I feel like I'm more the protector, and I just got to keep it going.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I feel like I got everything from him. Like, I met my wife because of that tragic incident.
Yeah.
I had some beautiful kids, the shit that he was talking about, shit that I never thought I was going to have, right?
Yeah.
Or even wanted, tell you the truth in a sense. I was a motherfucking, just a young player. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Come on, bro. We all were, man.
You know, I had, multiple relationships all my life.
Yeah.
Until I met, my wife, you know what I mean? So it's not only because of that do I do this, but I also do it more. The biggest motivation is the Ely family, his moms.
His mom,
you know what I mean? His pops, his brothers, you know what I mean? His younger brother that lived and all that.
I mean, you're
like, to me, they're my drive, because even though it won't bring the kid back ever, you know what I mean? I feel like it just shows that his life meant something.
Absolutely.
Bro. You know what I mean? When I put it together, it just happened.
Right.
We had a couple struggles in the beginning.
Right.
But
like all great endeavors do.
Yeah, but it happened, bro, and it was crazy. Just Bionics knew him because of, I introduced him to him, all that. But all the other bands, if they hadn't met him, they found out about him after, and whoever was involved from the beginning, like, man, it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had, Native Elements, Bionics, Papalote, which now is Mr. E with Al Pastor Papi.
Right.
He's had a restaurant. He was one of our biggest sponsors.
Bro, shout out Native Elements, because last year when I was there for Omino Day, first time hearing them.
Hard,
and
right?
I don't know if it was the weed or if it was the drinks that were flowing, bro, but I was fucking with it. Heavy. I was on the side vibing out, blood. I transformed into a long-haired white woman from the 60s that was on acid, and I was feeling myself so hard. It was ridiculous, bro. And Native Elements they put me in that mindset, bro. So
man.
I'm looking forward to, are they going to be there this year by any chance?
Yeah, they're going to be there this year.
I'm looking
you know
forward
what I
to
mean?
that, man.
So, I mean, it's dope, bro. Just how everything has come together. Omino Day, people always think it's Omino and Day, but it's actually Omino Day is one whole name, right?
Right.
So, like I said, the powwows. Me and him had so many powwows, bro. It's
Yeah.
like, we talked about so much shit, right? So, before he passed, he was trying to do a mixtape.
Yeah.
His own first album. And, we're powwowing, we're smoking. He was like, "Blood, I'm doing my mixtape. That shit's dope." I'm like, "Yeah." So it's funny. One other thing that I think he was the first one trying to do it, was he was trying to mix hip hop party with reggae party with reggaeton party, and then live music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were gonna call it the Trinity, right? Because it was like 3 different genres.
All in one.
All in one.
Yeah.
And now you hear it all the time. Now it's a thing. Back then, in 2005, 2006, nobody was thinking
Nobody was
about
doing
it.
that.
Nobody thought it was going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to work. It's too many different genres. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, let's do this. You know what I mean? So he was telling me how dope his mix album was going to be, because he was going to have, some reggae and some reggaeton in it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, bro, what's the name of the album?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "But it's some dope shit." And I'm like, "All right, bro, what is it?" He was like, "Blood, it's sick as fuck." And I'm like, "All right, motherfucker, tell me what the
pass the blood. Tell me.
Exactly, right? Pass the blood first. What the fuck is it?" So I was smoking. He's like, "Yeah, blood, it's called Omino Day." And I was like, "Omino Day? What the fuck is that?" He was like, "Blood, it's Domino and Pig Latin."
Yes.
Now, I don't know if people know what Pig Latin is.
Yes.
But Pigland is the shit that the girls used to talk about in middle school or high.
When they didn't want you to understand what the fuck you were saying about you.
Right.
Yeah.
So all you motherfuckers are watching right now, you get the first letter of a word, right? Put it at the end with an AY.
Right. So like my name would be Udi Ray.
Yeah, Udi Ray.
You're Iñone.
Iñone. Yeah, exactly, right?
Hence, Omino Day.
Omino Day, right?
It just happened to sound like 2 words, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he was like, that's dope, huh?
I love it.
And I was like, that's the wackest shit I ever heard. I was like, that's the wackest shit I ever heard, blood.
Bruh.
He was like, fuck you, blood. That shit's tight. I'm like, no, that shit's whack, blood. You need to come up with a better name. He was like, nah, blood.
Yeah.
He was like, blood, it just rolls off your tongue, bruh. He was like, Omino Day mixtape. That shit sounds hard as fuck. And I'm just like, nah, my nigga. Come up with something new. And, unfortunately, he never got to bring out that mixtape.
Right.
I knew the producer that was helping him bring it out, so I talked to him when he passed away. And then everything I do is I always ask permission to the Ely family.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I want to tell the world, man. You ever take a friend or a family member's legacy and you want to continue it, anything you do, always ask the family first.
Absolutely.
They have number one palabra, the mother or the father. You know what I mean? Because your loss is not as big as their loss.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anything I do, I always go through the family. That's palabra. That's old school, honorable, straight
respect
from the gutter, farm. Just Indio shit.
Because the thing is, like, when we show that type of respect in our life, especially when it is directly connected with somebody else's death, what we're also doing is we're laying down the blueprint for how we would hope that somebody would treat our death.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? At least that's what I think.
That's how I treat it always.
I'm just laying out the blueprint for how I would like to be treated once I reach my demise. And if somebody were to try to do something with my legacy, I would hope that they would have the same type of respect that I'm trying to display in this moment. And that's an honorable thing in and of itself, man. So, I mean, I commend you for all the work that you've done and also taking the honorable route to do the work, man. So with that being said, bro, before I let you go, man, I do want to ask you, though, how would you describe yourself before DJ Domino passed away? And then how would you describe yourself after DJ Domino passed away, considering all the things that we talked about today?
Man, I think I was just a single young man, but just living life and trying to survive. You know what I mean? And after he passed away, with everything he's given me, because I tell people, man, he must have been up there with God and be like, hook my boy up with a good wife, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A good family. If you do, I'm a DJ the best party you've ever had.
Right.
I was like, that motherfucker must have fucking brought the house down. You know what I mean? God ain't never seen such a good DJ. You feel me? Because the life that I have, and I'm totally blessed, right? So before that, I was just a young man trying to survive to becoming a father,
right,
and a husband, and having a family. Something I never thought I was gonna have.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they're my greatest motivation. My kids know DJ Domino, bro.
Yeah.
They've never met him.
But they know him.
But they know him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's the power of keeping somebody's legacy alive.
Yeah, real tough.
That people, after their passing and after their departure from this physical world, the legacy, the energy, the spirit, the name, the person, the essence of the person still remains.
Yeah.
You know, through the memories and through the joy that they brought other people like yourself.
And then he convinced me at the end of the day, Omino Day.
Omino Day.
Bro, I try to come up with Domino Day, Andrew Ely Day, and it just didn't roll off the tongue like he was saying.
I'm telling you, bro.
You know what I mean? And I was trying to come up with everything but Omino Day.
You had to hit that weed a little harder that night.
But one night, I just rolled a fat one, and I was really thinking about it because it was getting close, right?
Yeah.
And what am I going to call it? And then I was just, Omino Day in the Park World Music Festival. Omino Day in the Park World Music Festival. Omino Day.
Yep.
In the park. World Music Festival. Motherfucker, he was right.
And I guarantee you, he was up there smiling his ass off. He was like,
I told you, man. I told you.
Bro,
no, real talk.
And speaking of that good weed that prompted the name Omino Day, I don't want to, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about some good weed that we have right here, brought to us specifically from Papa Xochitl, the Papa Xochitl weed group, weed company. How would you describe this, man? Because this is your doing right here. I know you very much like myself. You're a weed connoisseur.
Yes.
So tell us about Papa Xochitl. Make sure everybody gets a good look at the brand. I got a motherfucking push pop full of trees in this motherfucker.
And if you've seen a comedy skit that Rudy did,
absolutely.
I'm the one that rolled that big ass.
This big ass blunt. This motherfucker was like a bullhorn. This shit, it looked like somebody went up to a yak and said, "Give me that shit, motherfucker." This shit was huge. It was a fat ass blunt, and it was full of some of the best trees that I had smoked in a while. Even though we shared that big ass blunt with like 38 different people,
yeah,
that motherfucker was still hitting by the end of the day, though.
Yeah, man.
But tell us about Papa Xochitl and let everybody know how they can continue to support the brand.
Papa Xochitl is an independent brand, delivery service also, and also they provide a lot of medicine. Xochitl means flower in Aztec.
Yes.
It also means it was part of the sixth sun. You know what I mean? That's deeper from some other. So Papa Xochitl means just father flower.
Right, father flower.
And I've always been a lover of the flower. You know what I mean? And we got to create this brand and have some great medicine, man, for
absolutely.
The people, man. You know what I mean?
Some of the best shit on earth, literally. The Lord put it here so we can enjoy his shit and use it as medicine and also as recreation too, man.
Like if you believe it was on King Solomon's tomb and that whole nine, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what the Rastafaris believe. You know what I mean? For Haile Selassie comes from the same direction of King Solomon in this tomb. They said a flower grew out of there, and a lot of Rastafarians and people believe. It was a marijuana plant, man, for the healing.
You motherfuckers better do your homework, man. You better do your homework out there. This ain't just no fucking trees in the push pop canister, all right? It's fucking, there's some history behind this. Bro, before I let you go, Niño, I like to ask my guest to just give me the final word. You got the final word, my G. Anything you want to talk about? Any final message you want to put out there? We've talked about so much, bro. And again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your efforts. And you talked about some real shit today, man. And I'm honored to have you here because of that. But I want to give you the last word, man. Anything you want to speak on, whatever message you want to throw out there to the world, the floor is absolutely yours.
One thing I want to touch on, like anybody that wants to take anybody's name or legacy and try to create something for them and honor them, always go through the family and show that love and respect. One thing I've always believed on since the festival that I learned is respect everybody's time and people. And I believe in one blood, one love. You know what I mean? I have that tattooed right here. And I just believe in that, like we're all one. You know what I mean? It don't matter where we come from or who we are. We're all one. And we all bleed. And we all should just show ourselves love. That's why I believe in one blood, one love. Just show love to everybody. It don't matter what culture or what religion or what anything you might believe in. Always respect everybody and show love. And I think that's what I always try to do with Omino Days. Just, you know what I'm saying, one blood, one love.
Absolutely.
That's what made it a World Music Festival.
Real talk,
and
man.
we feed everybody for free, and it's a free event. Remember,
we got free food too?
Free, yeah, bro. We feed everybody, bro.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Weed and free food. This is going to be a good-ass time, man.
Hell yeah.
All right, y'all, man. Check this out. Omino Day, June 11th at the Jerry Garcia Amphitheater.
John
McLaren Park in San Francisco.
11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
From 11 to 5, y'all. Do not miss this. I had the honor of being asked to be a part of it this year as well. I'm excited to be there. I'm looking forward to being there, bro.
So far right now, we have Ja Warrior, Shelter Hi-Fi with DJ Weiser, Ivir, and Irie Doe. We have My Emotion DJing also.
Yes.
We got Bionics, Native Elements, Batuki Bateria. Also, Los Racas are going to come through.
It's going to be cracking.
Camp Publishing got some artists, you know what I mean? They're going to do a little showcase. We also got the Ones, used to be called the real Ones.
Right.
But now they're called the Ones. They're coming with a live band. We got Uslam and Fexa. And then we got other people, you know what I mean? Hopefully that they could come through like Cutthroat Mode. I said Native Elements already, right?
Native Elements, yeah, definitely.
Hopefully Cutthroat Mode comes through, and we have other individuals, so stay tuned because it's going to be a dope show.
When we talk about it's a music festival, no bullshit. It is definitely a music festival. I witnessed it myself. I highly urge you guys to go check it out. June 11th at John McLaren Park in San Francisco. Omino Day, the 15th annual Omino Day. If you want to get more information on that, along with some information on Papa Xochitl, some of the best trees that I've smoked in the last 3 or 4 years, and believe me, I keep track. All right? I got an Excel spreadsheet of the good and the bad weed. All right?
I want to see that spreadsheet.
So you motherfuckers giving me some trash ass trees. Believe me, you've been marked. All right. If you want to get more information on that and Omino Day, like I said earlier, make sure you go to @Niño_DC Roots. That's Niño's personal Instagram page. A lot of good information there. I'm
also
sure that we'll
you could go on Omino Day on Instagram, and you can see some of the past shows that happened.
Absolutely.
And you can go on ominoday.org. That's our website. You know what I mean? You can find out what artists we got on there and just see a couple videos we got from the past. And yeah, man, we just can't wait for everybody to come through. And just remember, you ain't got to wait for no babysitter. We got kids' activities there.
Oh, shit.
So you can enjoy yourself with some responsible people keeping them busy while you enjoy yourself in the festival.
Right, just don't let them accidentally grab the edibles. Don't give them the wrong brownies, man.
We got a system for that. Don't worry about that. Edibles not close to the kids at all whatsoever.
It's my guest, Juan Oseguerra, a.k.a. Niño. I got to say it twice to make it right. A.k.a. Niño. Thank you so much, my G. I super appreciate you coming through, man. I really had a good time talking to you. Tragic Podcast, episode number 10. I appreciate y'all. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Everybody who has subscribed so far.
Button.
The little red button.
The little red button.
We got 117 subscribers up until this point, and we appreciate every single one of y'all. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to subscribe. Good night and good luck.
Smile. Pick up your head. It's alright, it's gonna be okay. I know times have been so rough.